Hello and welcome to another episode of Transcontinental Overload. Happy New Year! I have a really fun episode for you today, a great guest, and as you can see by the length of the episode, we didn't exactly run out of topics to talk about. My guest today is Chase, an American originally from North Carolina, who's currently based in Spain and Germany. Chase works as head of remote at a company called Doist. They're a remote-first company that specializes in productivity software. If you've ever heard of the apps Todoist or Twist, that's all Doist, and they're currently supporting 25 million people all over the world. In his role as head of remote, Chase is responsible for developing the company's remote work strategy. And he is basically living this very lifestyle, and has been for a while. So in other words, he doesn't only talk the talk, he also walks the walk. Make sure you check out Doist. I've put all the links in the show notes. I know remote work features quite highly in the expat world, so there's a lot of information on there. And well, this episode really is all about that. So if you are interested in taking on a remote role, or if you're thinking of switching careers and really interested in the possibility of working remotely, or maybe if you're interested in working in Europe but you don't have a European passport, then you've come to the right place. We do cover all of those topics. Chase also has a podcast, which we actually didn't get to talk about. It's called About Abroad, where he talks to other global nomads and innovative minds. And yeah, if you get a chance, check that one out too. I've put all the links you need in the show notes. We knew from the start that we had such a huge range of possible subjects to talk about. So we decided to just jump right in and start chatting and just to see where our conversation would take us. So we cover the nomadic lifestyle, working remotely, and what a typical day looks like, especially in the countries that he currently calls home, Germany and Spain. We also talk about what that sort of lifestyle does to the psyche and your sense of home. And we also talk in depth about doing all this with a pet. Chase and his wife own a husky called Coda, and Coda's been their companion, a big part of their journey for quite some time now. So they've become real experts when it comes to moving around with a dog. So yeah, we do talk about that and all the pros and cons. And if you are thinking about moving or even just traveling with a pet, then yeah, there's a lot of useful information in this episode. With that said, I don't really want to give anything else away. Let's listen to Chase's story. Welcome, Chase, to Transcontinental Overload.
Thank you so much. Good to finally meet you.
I listened to an episode with you actually on another podcast and thought, oh, that's such an interesting story. So I'm very thrilled that you reached out to be on my show.
Oh, well, thank you. Likewise, pretty much the same thing right back at you. So it's good to finally be here and meet you, and I'm excited to chat.
Well, we just had a little chat about the weather, of course, because that's what you do to break the ice, right? Because you're wearing a hat. So you're in Germany at the moment, suffering from the energy cuts.
Yeah. I was just mentioning the co-working that I'm working in. They trying to combat the energy crisis. They decided to cut the heat to the common areas, which aren't very frequented. But this space is adjacent to that, so it's not very warm at the moment.
Yeah,
so
okay.
if you see me doing jumping jacks, that's it.
I was just going to suggest. So if you feel the need, just kind of wave your arms, and we'll be adding some physical movement into the whole thing.
Absolutely.
So where in Germany are you? And I guess this is taking us right into your story, but yeah, let's start there.
Sure. So I'm currently in Freiburg in the southwest of Germany. And I assume you're familiar with Freiburg and where it is and everything, but I know for a lot of people they go, wait, where's that? Is that near Berlin? And I'm like, no, couldn't be further.
Yep, exactly. It's the opposite corner of Germany, but I've actually not been to Freiburg myself. It's always been on my list, and but I've never made it over there. So still Still possible.
It's a great little city. I think it's a bit of a hidden gem. I think the people here don't think it's very hidden. They
Hmm.
they think that it's well known, you know, across, at least across Germany, as a very high quality of life kind of place to live, and a smallish city that still has a lot going on and pretty vibrant and beautiful nature. I mean, it sits right in the middle of the Black Forest, so one of the coolest things that I tell everybody that I really love, and one of the reasons that I came here was kind of seeking a little bit different lifestyle or different nature, different ambiance from what I was experiencing living down in Spain. And from here,
Hmm.
from where I'm living, the little house that I'm in, I mean, 5-10 minutes I can walk into the heart of downtown, and 5-10 minutes I can be in the middle of the Black Forest. And I'm like, I can't get over that.
No,
So it's
amazing.
just super unique.
And also a very bike friendly town, as I've been
Very.
told. So kind of, yeah. And I guess completely the opposite to where you came from originally. I mean, you mentioned Spain, but clearly
Mhm.
from your accent, I think um
Yep,
you're
you
American.
guessed
So
it. Cat's
let's
out of the bag. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm
Let's
originally from the U.S. I call North Carolina home. That's where I
Mhm.
grew up, and that's where I lived most recently. And when I was living in the U.S., and then I've done some different like stints abroad and different places, and most recently for the last 5 years have been living in Valencia, Spain.
Mhm.
And absolutely love it there. But was just looking for a bit of a change, and my wife's looking for a bit of a change, so we came back to Freiburg as a potential place to settle for a while.
Well, that covers quite a few areas. Let's roll it right back to the beginning, just to kind of to what brings an American to Europe, and you know.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I mean, basically, I think I was just one of those people that, probably like most people that listen to your show, that just had this like desire to go live abroad, or just kind of called to like traveling a lot, and the travel bug was like constantly biting, and I needed to scratch that itch, and so just needed to figure out a way to make it happen.
Mhm.
And so yeah, my wife and I share that, and at some point just kind of decided we were going to leave the US career thing behind and try something different. And we ventured out into a couple different places, spent some time in Latin America, came over to Europe, and did a few of those like visa hopping stints where you're like, okay, I'm in the Schengen for 90 days. Now I have to get out. So let's go to Ireland for 90 days, and then
Mhm.
we'll come back in the Schengen and all of this. And so after a couple years of that, I think we were just like looking for something more stable. Like
Mhm.
well, I'm living, it's funny because I'm living a little bit nomadically right now. Like I'm a little bit of a nomad, but I'm not really a nomad. Like I really kind of like having my routine and my place of
Yeah.
home. And so we were looking for that, but we wanted to be in Europe. And long story short, we found a visa that allowed us to live in Spain for 1 to 5 years, 1 year initially, and we decided to take it, and that's what brought us to Spain. And it was that desire to have stability, but also be abroad, and not really be nomading and traveling, but
Mhm.
just have a place in a foreign place.
Well, I think it's one of those things because I always feel like I'm not very nomadic, but then I have moved around a lot as well, and I can't even imagine what it's like to just kind of up sticks and just um pack a bag. And I've always been like moving house, like having a
Mhm.
household and moving that and then living somewhere for a while, not but that more transient style. So going somewhere and then renting somewhere and then moving on, that I can totally get that, the excitement of that,
Mhm.
and the appeal. But like you said, at some point you just feel like, oh, I crave a little bit of a like a steady home that I can go back to, and I kind of know where I am in 10 days time, or in 10 months time even.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other sides to that is like is that you end up when you're nomading. Like we did do I mean, I did about a year and a half actually of month to month nomading at one point. So it was like 1 month in one place, 1 month in the next. And the thing that people don't talk about, I don't think a lot, is that you spend a ton of that time planning and like doing
Mhm.
logistics and figuring out where the next place is. And then when you get there, you need to find your basic amenities. And the one thing in our story that's kind of unique, I guess, is like we're also traveling with our dog, who's not a small dog. He's a 50-pound Siberian Husky. And when you start throwing in international borders and customs and things like this, it becomes extremely time consuming and kind of
Hmm.
sucks the joy out of it a lot. So yeah, it's that need for stability, but also like reducing the headache and just enjoying the journey a bit more.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the you mentioned Latin America and even going further back. So when you met your wife, I assume in the US,
Correct. Yeah,
you
we're
so was that one part of the it's like when you met, you knew pretty much straight away that you met someone who's also really interested in exploring? Because I imagine that
yeah,
you have to be with someone if you want to lead that sort of life, you have to be with someone who's on board with all of that.
yeah,
And then
absolutely. Yep. So she was very also very interested in traveling from a young age. I think like we both, when we talk about our childhoods or talk to our parents, we were both nerding out on maps and
yeah.
geography and talking about how we were going to travel to places.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, we just had my wife's my mother-in-law visiting, who reminded us that when she was like 6 or 7 years old, she said, "I'm going to go live in Spain one day," and she didn't even remember that. So
Oh wow.
apparently it was baked in baked into the
Yes.
beginning. And we're not two people that like grew up like I didn't have some obsession with Spain. You know, I meet a lot of people in Spain who just like really desired to live in Spain, or like when I was spending time
Hmm.
in like Peru, some people just had these like strong desires to be in Peru or wherever it might be. But like I didn't. I just had a visa that allowed me to go live in Spain. And then I was like, oh, I actually do
Hmm.
like it here. But yeah. So anyway, I do think that was baked in and probably attractive for both of us in the beginning. And I think that like resiliency to be willing to overcome some of the challenges that come with this lifestyle was also like something we were each, you know, each respected about each other, I guess.
Yeah. Because that's also something I think not everyone realizes how resilient you need to be to
Yeah.
pack up and go to a new place again and again. And like you said, the logistics of it all and going through the whole where can I get medical care? Where's my if I need, I have a toothache, where's what all those sort of things. What kind of insurance covers me for that if I'm not in my home country? The list goes on and on. And because that's sometimes when what I dread when I move to a new place, knowing what's ahead, knowing that huge mountain of bureaucracy and dealing with all sorts of things that you have to be ready for that. You have to know what it feels like. And I think that gets underestimated a lot.
Very much so. Totally agree. I mean, right now we're working on our visa renewal process.
Hmm.
And I mean, it's a 6 month process where it's like every couple
Yeah.
days it's something, tons of surprises, lots of ambiguity, and you're just like you know, it can be tough at times. It can be very frustrating. You I don't know if you have done this before, but you ask yourself like, why am I doing this again? Like I better really love this. And then I walk out into a German Christmas market and go, oh yeah, I do love this. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So so you said you moved to Spain and you kind of had a little bit of a base in Valencia or still do.
Mhm.
What brought you to Germany?
Um, so we've been in Spain now for what coming up on 5 years, and there's something that we really love about it. We're in Valencia, which is a wonderful like Mediterranean city, and very vibrant, lots to love. Like I think Internations just voted it like the best city in the world for expats, and it's got amazing quality of life, cost of living, all of this. So there's like a ton to love about it, and there's nothing to really run from there. But at the same time, we're from North Carolina, the mountains of North Carolina in particular, where we've got
Hmm.
like beautiful nature and greenery, and you know, just a lot of outdoor activities and things like that. And that doesn't you don't have a lot of that on the Mediterranean, let's say. And so we were literally just craving that. I mean, we were craving exactly what the Alps and the Black
Hmm.
Forest and has to offer, but we still wanted to be in a city of some sort, you know, just to have some
Yeah.
basic amenities and things. And we had been to Freiburg before visiting, just on our travels, had ended up in Freiburg and loved it. And like we thought we spent a good bit of time in Germany. We both already liked Germany a lot, but Freiburg called to us and said that would give us a good change of pace. So we came up here for the summer, which has turned into the fall and now the winter. And and we just keep staying. And so it's been 6 or 7 months now, and yeah, just really enjoying it. It's a nice change.
But you still have your visa to go and spend more time in Spain too. So that's kind of the probably the next step again.
This is exactly what we're working on right now. There's like a pathway. I don't know how it is for every country, but at least in Spain, after 5 years, you can apply for 2 different forms of permanent residency. And one of them is permanent residency in Spain, which is pretty much after 5 years, just a formality. And one is permanent residency in Europe, which is a bit more challenging, but you're able to apply for it. So I'm literally, as we record this, right in the process of applying for that, which would give us options to live in multiple countries, or all countries in the EU.
And is that sort of in Spain or in Europe? Is that kind of like the green card, so you can live and work, but does it expire when you leave? Say if you go back to the US for a few years, do you then lose that? I don't.
It's a really good question. So the way I understand it is, it's good. It's called permanent residency. So you're permanent, quote unquote, for 5 years. So if you leave, you don't lose it. But somebody should double check me on this, because I've actually been told 2 different things, but the more trusted source that I talked to told me that. So as with most visa stuff, it seems to be kind of difficult to give a straight answer. But that's my understanding, is that I could leave. And then after 5 years, you can reapply for permanent residency, which would be good for another 5 years, or move to citizenship, which would be like actually permanent.
Yeah. Oh, there's all these paths.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've got here with the green card, because I have the green card. And if I leave the US and I stay away for longer than a year, it becomes tricky to maintain it, and they can just take it. But because I'm German, the dual citizenship isn't an easy option at the moment, because Germany is one of those countries that makes it really difficult. So I haven't had that impetus to apply for citizenship here. But at the same time, it's like, when we live those global lifestyles, there's just so many stumbling blocks. It would be so nice to just have like global residency.
Yeah, right.
Wouldn't it be great?
Can I just get like a world passport?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, clearly that's not an option, but yes, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. And it's interesting to talk about these things, because every country is different and they have their own processes. And well, yeah, but that sounds like a good option. And having a leg in the US and a leg in Europe is probably not the worst.
No, it's really pretty ideal. I mean, I've really fallen in love with the European way of life, and
totally understandable.
It's really tough to give up once you get immersed in it. I think it's just it's very high quality, and at the same time, like I just went home and to the US and spent a month back there, and I love it there too. I mean, I'm actually constantly, I don't know how you feel, like if this calls to you too, but I've constantly kind of like pulled in 2 directions, because I'm not exactly like running from anything back home. I really love it there. When I go back, I think, why am I not here? I love the people and friends and stuff. And then there's certain things you don't like, of course, but that's with anywhere. And then I come back here and I love it here. So, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have, but it is a bit of a problem, I guess.
Yes, it's some sort of fragmentation in a way. I've talked about this with people before, because I think we all know exactly how we feel. It's that trying to live your life, and actually we're trying to live like 2 or 3 lives at the same time. Sometimes it feels like that, doesn't it? We try to squeeze as much in there as we can, and then at the end of the day we're exhausted by it, because it means you always miss something else. Even though you can be in the moment and love it where you are, but there's this little voice in your head that says, "Oh, well, what about this?" And I feel like that's our job in life, really, to just manage that. and
Mm-hmm.
not get overwhelmed by something, or when something goes wrong and you kind of think, oh, why did I do this? Why didn't I stay in so and so? And
Yep.
it's those moments. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. What is it that you miss from the US?
I mean, first and foremost, I guess it's kind of like cliche or obvious or something, but I mean, it is the people. Like when I think about
Yeah.
when I go back, I mean, I've got such great relationship with my parents, and my brothers, my best friend, my sister and I are close. I have a good social group of friends, and there's things going on, baby showers or graduations. You try to go back for
Mm-hmm.
the big things, go back for a
Yeah.
wedding or something, but you miss birthdays, you miss some cultural activities. I'm a big American football fan, so I love going to like a tailgate and a football game once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And Thanksgiving, I go back for Thanksgiving because I like that
Oh,
whole
that's nice. Yeah.
scene.
Yeah.
So those things are like what really kind of like, you
Mm-hmm.
know, call out to me is like, oh, I hate that I'm missing out on those sometimes. I also miss the like where the US is really good at some things like making certain things easy. Doing business in the US
Mm-hmm.
is so much easier than doing business in Europe, in multiple countries. I mean, even just down to little things like shipping things. My wife runs some e-commerce shops, and the shipping situation internationally or domestically
Mm-hmm.
is so much more cumbersome here, so much more expensive, so much, and it's very frustrating at times and like kind of antiquated. And in the US, it just works. It's just like quick
Yeah.
and easy and no questions asked. A lot less red tape. When you want to build a business, you just build it online in about 5 minutes. And that's not the case here, or even
Mm-hmm.
worse in other parts of the world. So there are things that you really come to appreciate. I think it's one of the positive aspects of being out, getting outside of the forest. You can see the trees a little bit more, and I really appreciate what the US does in that regard.
Yeah. That's so true. Just even, I think, like I mentioned to someone the other day, I have an idea for a business, but I'm not sure. And they're like, "Yeah, sure, you should do that. That's just do this and do that, and you're off." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean?" I'm coming from the ingrained European perspective, where it's like all I see is red tape and stumbling blocks and people who say, "No, that's not going to be successful." And then here you talk to people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you should go for it, do it."
Let's build a
And
business this afternoon.
I
we'll
know
we'll have it done
it's
by dinner
exactly
time.
that. And it's that kind of, it's very dynamic. It feels very dynamic. So I can see how that sometimes you feel, especially in Europe when you're dealing with different countries, again, different processes and attitudes and all that. It can be a bit like, okay, let's stop, let's slow down first. And that,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm told to slow down a lot. Like I've actually been told to be less American and slow down.
Hmm.
Like those
Hmm.
words exactly in Spanish. And I thought it
Oh,
was
I can
hilarious
see that.
because it was like in a bureaucratic,
Yeah.
situation, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you're right. but
Yeah.
you're just like, this is really simple. Like, can we just move this along?
So
And
I guess you can kind of choose the best parts of everything. So you can be the dynamic, the American go-getter, but at the same time enjoy the less frantic life. Because I mean that is definitely something that the US is not very good at. Which brings us
oh,
into what do you love about Europe and the countries that you've lived in? Because sometimes honestly it's just I go to Germany, and I've just come back from Germany as well. I just went there for a week just to see my parents and some friends, and I just instantly feel like I'm I'm
what I
breathing and
I
I'm slowing down.
Oh my God, you're hitting on the nail on the head for me right now. When I go back to the US, I convert into like American me, and because and my heart rate goes faster,
Hmm.
things speed
Hmm.
up. I work longer hours, and like I work completely remotely for a company that doesn't like track hours. We don't care when or
Hmm.
where you're working. Like it's just get your work done. But I inevitably fall into that flow, and there's like no need for me to, but I just do. I end up talking about money more. I find myself in conversations about mortgages and interest
Hmm.
rates and cars and things,
Hmm.
and in like just talking specifically about Spain, it's such a like go slow mentality, like
Mhm.
which can get, you know, there are certain times when that could be a little bit frustrating when you need something done fast, but it's a net positive for me, no doubt. Like I've become so much more relaxed. I enjoy life more day to day. I take long lunch breaks. Like I meet up with
Mhm.
friends more, and it's amazing just sub planning myself from like one environment to the next. There's a total difference in the
Yeah.
way I approach my day to day.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's nice to be able to pick the best
Hmm.
from each world in your own life, but not always easy to do.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite parts about Spain other
Oh,
than the long lunch breaks?
which is clearly a favorite. Well, just in general, like on like one of the things that I was always super attracted to about Europe, which I know I'm not alone here by any means, but like just the ability to like pass to pass from one border to the next, and all of a sudden the culture changes,
Hmm.
the language changes, the food, the time of day you eat, you know, just so the history, like so much changes. You can in a couple hour train ride or 1 hour
Hmm.
plane ride, you can like be in a whole new world, and that has always just been extremely attractive to me. Like I was like a moth to a flame. Like I have to experience more of that. So that's what kind of pulled me to Europe. And Spain has that also, which I think is really interesting. And I think a lot of people may not know if you don't know a ton about Spain. Like there's like they have like five, I believe, official languages in Spain. It's not just Spanish and it's not just Catalan. That a lot of people know from the Barcelona area. There's Basque, there's Galician, Valenciano is actually technically its own language. In Andalusia, they have a whole nother accent that almost sounds like a different language down in the south. It's also like extremely rich in terms of geography. Like we tend to think
Hmm.
about the Costa del Sol and the beaches and the flamenco and stuff like that, but there's like the Pyrenees mountains run through the north of Spain, which are insane. The actual northern side of Spain that borders that goes towards like the UK and Ireland actually kind of looks like the coast of the UK and Ireland. And it's just it can be very green, it can be very dry, it can be beachy, it can be mountainy. And so anyway, I'm just kind of like blown away by this. Like you can drive a couple hours in any direction and just
Hmm.
find a whole new world, and I absolutely love that.
Yeah, because thinking about the US in particular, it's I mean you get all the variety as well. You have everything you can in any climate you want, but you have to get on a plane.
Yeah. And certainly not a train, right? Like here you
So you can't-
hop on a train.
I mean, I just remember living in Texas, and you drive for 9 hours, and you're still only just hitting the border of Texas, which is insane. And there's not that much variety, some, but not that much. And yeah, so it's
My
the
whole
distances are crazy.
perspective on driving has become like so different too. Like when I lived in the US, we used to like my family's from I grew up in North Carolina, but a lot of my extended family's in South Florida, which is like a 14-hour drive. And we used to drive, get up in the morning and drive that 14
Yeah.
hours and arrive to Miami, and that was it. No big deal. But now like when I think like after spending time in Europe, I'm like, oh, 3 hours, because like that's the way people approach driving. They're like, oh, that's like a 6 hour drive, you got to break that up over a couple days, and
Yeah.
and my mindset has shifted also. So it's funny how you adapt to your surroundings.
It is. But then again, driving is it's different too. I mean, driving long distances in Europe is also more is busier. It's more
Hmm.
stressful, I think.
Yeah.
In terms of driving somewhere in the middle of the US, it's cruising and it's
Hmm.
it's much more like road trip.
Yeah,
It's not as
it's built for
stressful.
the road
And
trip. It
it's
is. It's
exactly
like
unless
it's
you
like built
unless
baked
you're
into us.
around, yeah, unless you're in New Jersey and you live near New York. So that's a
Yeah,
whole,
that's it.
that's a whole other. But hey, we have trains too, so that's a good thing now that I didn't have before, and now I have more public transport. But yeah, so driving in the US and Europe very different. Yeah,
Very, yeah. And access to public transportation. I mean, you're in the one, it's kind of like the inversion of what you have here. Like you're in the one part of the country where we have pretty good public transit.
Hmm.
And then flipping that over here to Europe, it's like there are some pockets. Actually, I would say Spain doesn't have great public transit. It's one of the things
Yeah.
that I think they're missing a little bit in terms of like
Hmm.
train connectivity and stuff. They believe that they do. I mean, I talk to people who
Yeah.
say it's great, but when you compare it with Central Europe, I think Central Europe's just so much better connected, and trains arrive on time, things like that.
Yeah, although isn't that somewhat of a cliche? I always find that especially Germany, people always say how on time everything is, but it's not really.
Yeah, this is a funny thing. People brag about this a lot, but I'm like,
Yeah,
there's a lot of late
yeah,
trains here in Germany, in
yes, and
Switzerland. I'm like
cancellations.
30
Yep,
minutes from the border in Switzerland, a little bit different story, but
yeah.
yeah, I found that kind of funny too.
But that's also I like that getting rid of all the cliches when people say stuff and you're like, no, actually,
Yeah.
that's not true. And
I
the
love
longer
it.
you live in a place, the more you realize that actually, everyone we're all the same.
Yeah,
You
we're a
get
lot
everything.
more alike than we are different, right?
Absolutely. But it's fun to talk about cliches and see some stereotypes in the flesh when you kind of like, oh wow.
One of my favorite things is when a stereotype is true. Like I get a lot
Hmm.
of joy when you like see the
Oh yeah.
walking living stereotype and you're like,
Hmm.
yes, you exist, and I'm glad about that because that's what I wanted to see when I was
Can
here when
you
I came
can
here.
you can you list any? Have you
Yeah.
whether it's
I mean,
Spain or
what
Germany?
one that comes to mind is like I have this one of my favorite pictures that I've ever taken was in Fussen in I
Hmm.
think I'm pronouncing it right, in southern Germany, where near
Yeah. Yeah,
Neuschwanstein
yeah.
Castle.
Yeah,
Um
Bavaria. Yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly. So it's in Bavaria, and I'm sitting there on the street, and this couple walks by in just like a normal day in the total like the picture perfect Bavarian garb, like the dirndl and lederhosen, and he on top of all that is carrying this long one of those long wooden like pipes, but it's like a that
Oh,
you
what
blow
it was
into.
like the Swiss, those horns, those Alp
Yeah,
horn,
it's a
I
long
think
horn, an
kind of
alpine horn.
things.
Yes, it's like 10 feet long, like 3 meters long, and he's just carrying it like and it's like a Tuesday, and they just go walking right down the street, and I'm like, they do exist. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's great. I also have like a coworker from Spain that just embodies the total prototypical Spanish guy. He's like he cracks me up because he'll write me and say, "Oh, it's too hot today. I can't work. I need to nap all day." And it's just, and you're like, that's so stereotypical, man. You really do that? And he's like, yeah, I have to. You know.
What
So
is something stereotypical that you feel like you do and people look at you and think, "Oh yeah, American."
that's American. Yeah. I mean, when I mentioned that I'm a big American football fan, in particular a college football fan, and so I could rattle on about that for forever. And and I've had European counterparts at work or whatever, friends just say like we could care less about that. Like this is so beyond what we're interested in. So I have to be sensitive to that. And I think also like uh just having like there's some kind of like stereotype about us that we work hard, or we work a lot or whatever. And so I think especially when I first moved to
Mhm.
Europe, there was a lot of it was very stereotypical for like, oh, of course Chase is the first one in the co-working and the last one to leave, and there would be jokes about that. But I'm a little less that way now, I guess.
What do you think is the most the Spanish thing now that you feel like
Oh,
you do?
the long lunch.
The long lunch. Yeah.
Yeah, I take a 3 hour lunch break. I baked it into my day. It's blocked off on my calendar.
Mhm.
Nobody can book meetings or anything at that time, and I love it. I break my day into two halves. I don't do the siesta, which actually like most people don't. Like that's sort of a false
Mhm.
stereotype. But I don't do that, but I do take the long lunch break, even if I don't actually. Sometimes that might mean actually going out for a 2 3 hour lunch, but generally it's
Yeah.
just more like a break in the day.
break in the day, maybe work out, maybe do some,
Yep.
you know,
Yeah, I
go
usually
for a
go
walk.
exercise, have a little bit of time with the family. Occasionally, like maybe once a week or something. That
Hmm.
means like going out for lunch with friends. Just kind of taking a mental
Yeah.
break, and
Yeah.
it's enhanced my productivity at work. Like realizing like I don't really adapt well to the like 9 to 5 grind. It's more
Yeah.
like 3 to 4 hour halves, and I'm way better that way. So yeah, I think that's where I say it's been like such a net positive. Like I've learned a lot about myself,
Hmm.
and adapting to that lifestyle has been really helpful.
It sounds so healthy. Well, you mentioned earlier your work situation. Let's talk a little bit about that. So obviously that you said there's not really someone logging hours, so you
Mhm.
can do that um for your job. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So I work for a company called Doist, which is we're about 100 people in 35 countries, and we've been what we call remote first for like 15 years. So we're just built as a remote company from the very beginning. And so the only way to make that work when you have people in like all time zones is basically just to work. Like we don't have a lot of meetings. We can't really keep track of like when you're working, when you're not. It doesn't really matter. So we just set the goals for the week, month, year, and try to hit those. And then however many hours it takes you to get there is what really matters. Actually, our job as leaders in the company is really to prevent people from working too much, because that's generally what remote workers will do. They'll burn themselves out for one reason or another. So not having the safeguards in place to keep people from working too much is actually a big part of what we do. So it's everybody works from where they want, they work when they want, and that's one of the things. That location independence is one of the things that helped me live the lifestyle that I'm living today, which was
Mm,
always really important to me. So it kind of unlocked that for me.
yeah. So you said basically trying to keep people from working too much is a huge goal, and I mean, God, employers need to hear this. There's still so much kind of stigma around working from home, although I think it has that has changed through the pandemic. Just people seeing how more productive you can be if you
Hmm.
can divide your time.
Yeah, in a more like people first manner, like just
Hmm.
put the employees first. There's a lot of cliches wrapped up in this, but it's like there's there's a there's a ton of data out there to reflect, and you can find a statistic to back up whatever you want, but there's some overwhelming data to show like basically there's a huge misconception between what managers tend to think remote workers are doing and what
Hmm.
remote workers are actually doing.
Hmm.
And what they think they're doing is underworking, and what they're actually doing is overworking. And so there is just a retraining phase that needs to take place. And this is a big part of what I do. Like my
Hmm.
title is head of remote. And so my job is really to make sure that remote works at the most peak
Hmm.
efficiency for us. So I spend all my time analyzing this kind of thing and making sure that our team across the world and other teams that we work alongside that are also trying to go remote first,
Hmm.
are getting the best experience, and it's totally possible. And a lot of the challenges that come with remote can be overcome with some intentionality put behind finding solutions and not just like complaining about the problem.
Yeah. So do you do training as well with people, like how to best? So say for someone who's a newbie to remote work, guidelines,
Yeah.
training, because I
Yeah, it's
think not everyone is good at organizing themselves, and
yeah.
some people probably need more supervision in that, which kind of is counterintuitive. But I guess some people are excellent at it, and others just have to really or need help.
Yeah, totally. It's so like it's not what we do as a company, but we do
Hmm.
it by extension, I guess, because we're a software company. We produce like some tools that are used by teams around the world, and predominantly remote teams. So
Hmm.
our job as a company is to sell the product. But our my job in particular is not to sell the
Hmm.
product. It's more to promote the way of work that we've adopted. And obviously like the trickle down effect of that is hopefully, more teams see that it's possible and then they use our
Yeah.
tools and whatnot, but there's not really like a direct connection to what I'm doing to like dollars and transactions.
Mm-hmm.
But we do a lot of writing and sharing and interviewing, and we have a blog like dedicated to remote work and case studies and things like that.
Yeah.
And I participate in a lot of webinars and conferences around how to make remote work. And so, yeah, that's the world that we live in and have been living in for like 15 years. So it's not really like totally new to us, but I will say the pandemic shifted things in that, like, it went from a little niche, actually less than like a fraction of a percent of teams identified as remote first, being completely remote. And now like that number is like 10%. And by the end of 2023 might be like 15 to 20% of, so it's like a massive explosion. And with that came a whole new suite of products and tools and practices and things that you can implement, and more people out there working this way. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to adapt to. And so, yeah,
It's
it's an
exciting.
exciting time. Yeah.
It's a really,
it's only
really
going to get better.
yeah. Well, I think, and as more people and employers realize how beneficial it is for people to be structuring themselves in a different way, or what suits them, and the whole people first sort of thing, and not, not driving towards burnout, and then for the employer to have to pick up the medical bill or or worse. I mean, it's really, I think it's a really exciting time, and like you said, the pandemic has shifted the thinking, and I think it was high time for that to happen. So if there's anything good to come from that whole thing, it's definitely that. And people, just health, mental health, physical health, prioritization, I think. So yeah, it sounds really good. And I mean, obviously, so you're living it, you're living that kind of lifestyle. So that's a great example as well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun to, I mean, sometimes I think it can be a good thing or a dangerous thing sometimes, like the gray area between my personal life and my work life are like meeting right at this equilibrium point, which is awesome. I think that's kind of like what you sort of shoot for. And then at sometimes I'm like, am I working or am I not working? Like, I don't even know. But it's, I really enjoy the work and I enjoy the lifestyle that it's afforded me to live. And it used to be, it's funny, like bringing it back to what we're talking about with living abroad and stuff, that was really the motivation for me to like get on board with the remote work thing at first. But I think what I've come to enjoy even more in the way that we work, at least in the way I see a lot of the like remote first teams operating, is they do like we do, where we don't really have set hours and you just get your work done when you need to. And so for me, it's about when I work and like optimizing my day for my benefit. And that means like when I'm back in the US, nothing changes, and when I'm in Germany, that doesn't change. And so, I can adjust that based on where I am and where I want to be. But also like in my normal day to day, I'm building my perfect work day every single day and fixing that around what fits into my life. And when you throw in family members and kids and things like this, it's pretty ideal. And I want more people to have access to it. And fortunately, they are getting it.
Yes. Yeah. So what does a typical day look like? I mean, we've kind of brushed on a few things, and you are in a co-working space at the moment, so you're not at home.
Correct. Yeah.
Is that a typical situation, or?
Yeah. Normally I am not a work from home person because I need to separate the two, and I like the going to a co-working for me has always been a staple because, you meet people, you have a ideal work setup ergonomically and things like that. Standing desks and multiple monitors and, just other people around you. You get to meet interesting people. It's also a good way for me to like practice other languages and, get outside of my living room. So, that's what I normally do. Like I mentioned, two halves in my day, work from, let's say 7 to 11 or 7:30 to 10:30, something like that. And then, take a long lunch break. That lunch break though changes. When I'm in Spain, it's like 12 to 3. Here it's like 11 to 2. So that changes a little bit, and then go back and wrap up with 3 or 4 hours in the afternoon. until 6 or 7 or something like that. And occasionally I have to stay a little bit late because we don't do a ton of meetings, but I do have counterparts on the West Coast of the US, which means like their 9 a.m. is my 6 p.m. So
Yeah,
accommodate that
that's
from time to time. People on the
yeah.
West Coast say it's low. I have a counterpart there in Seattle who says the PST is lonely
Yes,
when you're on a
it's
global
exactly
team.
that. Everyone's in bed. That's the toughest thing. We've talked about moving back to the West Coast, and it's beautiful, but it's so far away.
What pulled you to the East Coast from the West Coast?
Um, well, the proximity to Europe, it's kind of you
Mm-hmm.
can't get any closer. I mean, I was in Munich in 7 hours, flight from New York to Munich, direct flight.
That's wild.
It's you can't beat that. But mainly my husband's work is on the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast, and he was commuting from Texas, and um yeah, so you can never find the perfect place. There's always
No.
something missing. We said that before, didn't we? So I don't know how long we'll be here, but I kind of feel like we might start some more nomadic um kind of thing. We have some ideas. The US
The
is
US, the
big, and
ideas are brewing.
oh yes, always, always. And I mean, with us, it's different because we have two. I don't want to say kids because they're older now, but it's once they're out at college, both of them, and we can be more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
Then I mean, we have our dog, but that can be done if you don't have to fly a ton.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't recommend it. I've done it not a lot, but I mean,
mm,
Coda is my dog, and he's crisscrossed the equator and the Atlantic each multiple times.
yeah,
And we ideally will never fly him again,
yeah,
if we
yeah.
can avoid it. But so I don't say that like kind of, I don't know, bragging or anything. It's I kind of feel guilty about it because it's
Hmm.
just not a good experience. So but I guess I also say that because I hear constantly from people who say, "Oh, I would do what you're doing, but I have a pet and I can't
Yeah.
move there." And it's like it is possible. I mean, you can do it. Just take it seriously.
Yes, and like you said, it's the same thing. We've done the move. We moved from the States to the UK and
Mm,
then back to the US. So he's crossed
yeah.
that twice as well. And I mean, did well, but I would not want to put him through that again. And then as I
Yeah.
get older, I don't know how old is Coda?
He's 10 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His transatlantic traveling days are probably behind him, and I think he's okay with that.
Yeah.
He's
But
got a
it
European passport now, so he's got a
yes,
Spanish passport. So
excellent.
he's kind of just like we joke he's got more citizenship than we do because he's got a
Isn't
passport.
that I love that they give them the passport. We
Me
had
too.
Bowie he has a European passport as well. It's with a few stamps and
It's adorable.
vaccinations and things, and but yeah, I mean that's the biggest yeah, when people have said to us, "Oh, are you moving back to Europe? Do you want to?" And it's like, "Well, I don't know. It's I kind of I don't want to do that now because I don't want to put him on a
Hmm.
plane again." So and then it's that unspoken, well, we have to wait till he's not with us
Yeah.
anymore. And then you don't want to think about that, but you have to.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real thing. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you guys spend a lot of your energy on this? Like, do you find yourselves talking about it, analyzing it, trying to figure out the next steps, even if they're not imminent?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least I do. Um, and we have this plan that in a few years' time we want to get one of those really nice camper vans and have a more nomadic life, I guess, pack up and
Hmm.
go on the road and explore the US and spend some time in different places and yeah, just go exploring and then I think, oh, can we do this to him? I mean, if he's still around, if he's still fit and healthy, yes,
Hmm.
probably, but it might be too much for him. And yeah, so sometimes the thinking about all that makes my head explode.
Yeah.
So yeah. definitely never easy when it comes to pets. And I mean, they are heartbreaking stories. Sometimes I remember
Hmm.
going into a pet store. This is a couple of years ago, and they had a few pets, dogs in there for adoption, and this really old German Shepherd was in there, and she was beautiful, and she had those sad eyes, and then so I asked, and I said, "Oh, what's up with her?" And they said the owners moved abroad, and she was too old to come with
Oh
them,
no.
and my heart
Oh.
just broke, and
Oh, I couldn't
it's
do
like
it.
I'm
No
like
way.
I started crying because I
Yeah.
couldn't. It's like I just looked at that dog and I was like, this is, I mean, it must have. I can't imagine being in a situation like
Yeah.
that.
No, me
What
neither. No,
makes
it wouldn't
it's
be an option at that point.
exactly, but
Yeah.
then you think, well, but maybe there is a time when you have to make it. Who
Yeah.
knows what their situation was, and it might have been a heartbreaking decision for them or not, or but it does kind of affect you. And I thought I could never do that.
Yeah. Oh, me neither. I couldn't imagine. I think one thing, talking about like the innovation in this space about like remote work and stuff, the with the explosion of people working remotely,
Hmm.
the explosion of like digital nomad visas, more and more people have the means to go spend significant time abroad, and so one of the cool things about all this is that like with that comes people like you and I who face these challenges, and as there's more of those people, solutions will be created for those problems. And I talked with someone recently actually on my podcast where
Hmm.
she's building like technology. She's built a company that's focused solely on pet travel for people wanting to move internationally, and easing that process. And so anyway, I think that's really cool. Like there's going to be innovation in this space, and where there's
Yeah,
pain there will be solution, and so
it's
we'll
absolutely, and
see.
it'll get easier. And I mean we had the experience of when we flew from the US to the UK at the time. Oh no, actually I flew him into Germany because it was easier.
Mhm.
Customs
Yeah, yeah.
and all that was much easier to. So I flew him to Germany and then drove to the UK from Germany
did,
to
did you go to
where we were based.
Frankfurt?
No, Munich.
Okay.
It was like
Frankfurt
very
apparently has some amazing like dog hotel facility or
that
something.
I know I heard, and Munich was actually it was a really weird experience because it kind of it felt like I also had a cat with me, so I had the cat with me in a carrier, and the
Hmm.
dog was in a bulk area,
Hmm.
and getting him at the other end was like no one seemed to know what was going on, and I felt like I could have just walked out with any cat, no one checked anything, and then but finding my dog was no one knew. And I thought I'm in Germany. This is supposed to be. We had all these papers and stamps and everything, and why is this not organized better? Like you said, there is room for improvement, and I think there will be much better solutions. But also, we had arranged the whole thing by ourselves to save money, and
Yep.
then on the way back from the UK to the US, we hired a company to help us with it, and it wasn't that much more expensive actually.
Nice. Yeah.
And they took care of everything, and it was wonderful. And so the dog actually was not didn't seem stressed at all, and they came to pick him up the day before the flight. And I mean I was a nervous wreck, and they had like a van with his crate, and I'm kind of thinking hey, oh
Oh.
my goodness, and he just jumped in. He was just like, okay, where to
I
next?
got to
And
ride first class, Mom. I'm
it was
good.
amazing. And they sent so he then spent the afternoon there, and then they put him on the flight the next day. And they sent updates with a picture here and there. And he's doing great. And we just did this. And that was amazing. And I know that, like you said, your friend probably as well, that sort of thing makes all the difference. And
It does. It does.
it wasn't great for him to fly back to Austin in August and then
Ooh.
and there was no pet facility. So they just put him out. I mean, he was luckily in the shade.
Yeah.
But yeah, not a great experience. And he was
No.
okay. And he saw us and he was fine. But I wouldn't want to do that again. The
Yeah,
stress. I think I didn't sleep for 3 days, and
it's very stressful on owner and the dog or on the animal. It's not easy.
hmm
Possible, but not easy. And so yeah, figuring out where you fall on that spectrum of willingness to do it is a whole nother thing. There's a website that would, if this is like interesting to anybody, I use called pettravel.com. And I'm not sure if you came across it or not, but they have these amazing little like packets you can buy for like 15 or $20 that share all the information you need to immigrate or to what's the right word to arrive to a country with an
what?
animal.
Yeah, the
And
steps.
yeah, import,
Yeah,
that's the word. To import an animal.
this is yes, exactly, and it's so essential to have that.
Hmm.
And I mean, there's forums and people can exchange experiences, and I think the pet owner community in terms of expats is fantastic,
Yeah.
and I think the more companies focus on that and help with that, the better, definitely. So how has it been in terms of having the dog in Spain and in Germany? How pet friendly are places? Because I think that's also just like people are worried about leaving where they are with a pet. It's always that extra. Is that a
Yeah.
good area to go to? What's what's your experience
It,
been?
I've traveled around Spain a lot, and I can honestly say Valencia is the most pet friendly place. And it's I think it's one of the reasons that we feel so comfortable there. Things like outside of most shops, there's a little like doggy parking kind of thing. Like if you can't take your dog in, they've got a little place to hook up, usually a water bowl. There's dog parks in the big park. Things like that. Like you don't find dog parks in a lot of other I haven't even found one here in Germany. And I'm sure they exist somewhere, but it's just not readily available like I might have expected that it would, or that it is in the US.
Hmm
And so I found that to be like really, really, really great. In other parts of Spain, less so. Animal like dogs aren't looked at necessarily as a part of the family as much as not always, but
hmm
very stereotypically people would say that. um but generally speaking, like I mean, I think Central Europe is like amazing with an animal. Like it's amazing to me. It's cold out here right now, and I can literally go into a restaurant with my dog and have dinner as long as he's well behaved. Like they don't care, and like that wouldn't happen in the U.S. And so I'm
Yeah,
very
unless you're in Austin.
yeah, I
Austin's like
guess
the
so.
dog
Yeah,
capital of
Austin's dog.
the.
Okay, yeah. See, good. That's good to know. I Yeah, I really love that about like, Germany, Austria,
Mhm.
Switzerland, France. I feel like it's very dog friendly in that way.
I don't know if there's an app in Europe. There must be, and if there isn't, maybe that's something to think about. I use this app here that's called Bring Fido,
Oh, I've heard of that. Yeah.
and
I think I used to have that.
it's actually really good, and it's informed by dog owners, and it has these you can just type in a place and then you can choose restaurants, activities, public places, beaches, all that sort of stuff with all the information and links to websites and things. And I've used it a lot because it really works. You go to a new place and you're like, oh, I'm meeting people for dinner, but I'm limited because I don't want to leave my dog in the Airbnb because he's gonna wreck it, or at
Yeah.
a hotel. It also has hotel dog friendly hotels and things like that in it as well. So
I'm so
it's
glad you mentioned this. I totally have forgotten about this app.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's really useful.
This year I've used it a lot because when you don't know a place, and I'm just
Yeah.
wondering if there is one for Europe. Hmm.
Yeah. Now I have to check and see. I think I probably, when I moved over here, 5 years ago or so, I
Mm-hmm.
probably just put that out of my mind as something you didn't have. And now you see a lot of apps are like accessible wherever you are and
Mm.
translated and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm gonna look that back up. That's a good
Yeah,
reminder.
and because you also end up finding places that you wouldn't have even thought about. I mean, I just this summer I went down to Delaware to the beaches, and they mentioned this dog boutique place that had doggy ice cream, and so we had the most
Awesome.
amazing array of dog ice creams, and I mean it's so American, over the top, crazy. You can imagine like 10 flavors and then 30 toppings from bacon crunch to peanut whatever.
We're a land of options. I had a Spanish friend visit me in the US years ago before I moved to Spain,
Mhm.
and he wanted to get like a 6 pack of beer before going to watch some sports or something like that. And anyway, he walking around in the beer aisle in the US and just looking at all the options, which were like, there was like jalapeno chocolate beer, and
Yeah.
he's just like, I just want a beer. Like, I don't understand. What is it? And he's like, what is it with you? And he was literally mad. It's just funny. Like a land of options, I think is what he said. And that's always stuck with me.
Yeah, and it's definitely overwhelming, I think, when
Yeah,
you're not
totally.
used to it. And then it's kind of the other way when you go. I mean, sometimes I go to Germany and I'm like in that mood where I think, oh, thank God there's only two options.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking, why can't they have more this and that? Yeah. It's a
And
that's a such a huge, interesting subject, I think. But at least I feel by living somewhere else in different cultures and getting to know them, your perspective just changes somewhat on all those issues because
totally
you can
agree.
see the different standpoints and whether it's more traditionalist or conservative, and then you also see the like, wow, this is all new and let's embrace differences, and why
Yeah.
can't we have a little bit more of this country's lifestyle in my own life, and yeah, so I feel like we've become such a little melting pot in ourselves in a way by living
Yeah.
this life.
That's a really good point. I very much so agree. You take little bits along the road and or
Yeah,
take little bits from
exactly.
along the road and
And
we're constantly like reinventing ourselves. So
absolutely, and it becomes more diffuse when when people probably ask you as well how, but you're American, do you feel, and you probably like, I don't feel so American all the time.
yeah.
And
Yeah. I wanted to mention one thing that you brought up earlier, if you don't mind. You
Mhm.
brought up camper vanning, and that
Oh
is
yeah.
something that I've gotten into as well. My wife and I have a camper van, and just in general, just camper vanning around Europe is such an amazing experience. And I think I mention it specifically because a lot of people come to Europe and see a lot of
Mhm.
the sites in the major cities, and those are awesome and not to be missed. But something that's a bit flies a bit under the radar is the natural beauty in
Yeah.
Europe, and the national parks, and I mentioned the Pyrenees earlier. Like
Mhm.
there's just so much to do, and there's an awesome culture around camper vanning in Europe, like infrastructure in place to make it really, really fun and enjoyable and affordable. And so that's always something I like encourage people to give it a
Good
shot,
to know. I
Yeah.
feel like we could have a whole conversation about that. I'll
Yeah,
definitely come
it's
back to you
great.
on that because, and we have talked about that too, having, doing that here in the US, but also Europe and seeing all
Hmm.
those places that, and when you don't feel like you want to fly to a city and then rent a car or anything like that. So, but seeing all the unsung heroes along the way. Yeah, I can't
Oh,
wait
so much.
to do all that. Yeah.
It's just it's a great. I think the U.S. is like known as like the cruising country. You can just drive across, and I've done the cross country road trip
Hmm.
around in the U.S. and it is awesome. I mean, we have a lot to see there too. I think this part of Europe goes a little bit unnoticed sometimes, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. It's like one of the things that I'm thinking of in my mind is like in France, there's a collection of 3,000 French vineyards and they're all connected by an
Hmm.
app where you can camp at the vineyard. So you can pull up to the vineyard and you don't have to pay. All you have to do is do a wine tasting and
Hmm.
potentially buy a bottle of wine. And so you're like, okay, I'll buy your bottle of French wine
Oh yeah.
and sleep for free in a French vineyard.
Sounds perfect.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do a wine tasting, like
Yeah.
okay. And so like there's things like that in place where you're just like, this is incredible and very hospitable.
Hmm. Oh, that's great. There's so many things to look forward to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there are.
Any plans on your part to go somewhere else in Europe once you're done
We're
with
waiting.
Freiburg?
we're waiting on the visa. So we came to Freiburg. We're thinking about testing out a handful of different places. Is sort of like, do we want to move on from Spain or stay in Spain?
Mhm.
Do we want to? Are there any particular places we want to live? So there's some bucket list places that we'd like to check out, kind of down along like the Adriatic coast, Croatia and
Mhm.
Montenegro and Albania and this area just to see. So we plan to drive the van down there in
Mhm.
2023 and explore some of that area. But the idea is in the next year or so or the next like 6 to 8 months to pick a place and settle down somewhere, whether that be back in Spain or elsewhere. Is you could probably tell me better than I can tell me right now. that I asked you that question earlier about like, are you constantly thinking about it? Because that is that paradox of choice is so real. You find yourself analyzing and thinking and running all the scenarios, and you just in the end, just wherever you end up, you'll end up and probably
Yeah,
make the most of it.
and you kind of exactly, and you have to, you can't forget that you need to live in the moment,
Yeah.
and it's when you spend too much time planning and thinking through scenarios, then you lose that appreciation for where you are at the moment. So
Yep.
yeah, I totally get that. It's you have to find the right balance. Yeah.
100%
Well,
agree. It's great advice.
yeah. I wish I could stick to that myself all the time.
We're preaching to
It's
the
not easy.
choir.
Absolutely. Well, Chase, it's been really fun talking to you. I've got we're
Likewise.
running out of time, and I have one more question, my final question that I always ask. What do you do when you are really homesick? Whether it's for Spain when you're in Germany or whether you're homesick for the US? Is there anything, like a tradition or some food that you make that gives you that instant connection?
Oh, that's a great question. When I, I mentioned the thing that I miss the most is the people, and so it's nothing hugely, no groundbreaking information here, but I mean, I'm diligent about staying in touch with the people that I'm really close with and carving out that time for them and kind of trying to prevent the homesickness, I guess, like a preventative measure.
Hmm.
So I'm pretty good about like scheduling regular calls with friends, Zoom calls or WhatsApp calls, and video, incorporating video when I can, and so because that's the thing I'm most likely to miss, that's the thing I will lean on to schedule
Yeah.
and do if I start feeling that way. Yeah.
And it's something you can I feel like that's the one thing where I think if I've failed everything in terms of parenting with my kids, that's the one thing they've seen me do is cherishing and nurturing my friendships and
Mm-hmm.
relationships. So it's
Yep.
such an essential thing. Talking about which, I have a FaceTime call with my friend on the West Coast.
Ah.
We have a weekly check-in and it's priceless. And it's just, yeah, we always make time for that. So
Those are
yeah,
wise words in and of themselves. I think like it can be easy to forget to do that when you're exploring or living your travel dreams, but
absolutely.
bake it
Have
into
the
the fabric of the day,
yep, love your people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so
All
much. I
right.
really enjoyed this too. It was super fun. It flew by, but thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for making time. This was so much fun. And I'll come back to you regarding camper van life.
Wonderful.
Okay. You take care.
Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. So that was my conversation with Chase. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, found it useful and interesting, and maybe it's given you the inspiration you needed to kickstart a new lifestyle. Anyway, make sure you check out his website and his podcast. And oh yeah, there was one more thing I wanted to say or put right. I talk about the app Bring Fido in our conversation, and I said it's US. It's an American app. And actually, when I went to copy the link to put in the show notes, I realized that this app is, in fact, not just a US-based one. It's a global one. So you can use it wherever you are in the world. It's a fantastic resource, actually. It's not just about dog-friendly hotels and restaurants and activities. It's so much more. It has each country's entry requirements, vaccination requirements, all this sort of stuff, and a lot of really, really valuable information. So it's a really great resource. And yeah, I really had no idea that was global. So I was really glad that I went back to check and found that out. Also, while I was digging for more information regarding pet travel, I came across another great resource compiled by a blogger I follow on Instagram. Her name is Abroad Purpose, an American who used to live in the UK but is now back in the US. And I also put the link in the show notes, and then realized that actually she would make an excellent guest for this podcast. So I'm thinking of reaching out to her. There's not much else to say, really. It's January, so it's a little bit cold and drizzly and grey and miserable, at least up here in New Jersey. But I'm looking forward to an exciting year. I have quite a lot of travel planned with and without pets, and that's always a good thing. So I hope you have some nice plans for this year too. And yeah, that's it from me for today. Take care and see you next time.